Star Wars number 8 through 10 tell a story about 8 spacers hired to protect a small village from a gang of bandits. If this plot sounds familiar, that is because it is. This is the same plot used in the classic 1960 Western film The Magnificent Seven. In that movie, it is 7 gunfighters, not 8 spacers, that team up, and the bandits ride horses, not sky sleds, but the basics of the plot are apparent. Star Wars has always had a Western in space vibe, so why not borrow the plot from a successful Western story? And when a giant monster, not unlike Godzilla, is added to the mix, a classic Star Wars story is formed. Who are the Magnificent Eight? Star Wars number 8, titled 8 for Abdullah III, focuses on the gathering of the 8 spacers hired to defend the small village on the planet Abdullah III. On the final page of the previous issue, Han Solo is approached by 3 peasants who want to hire him to protect their village. In this issue, these 3 individuals mysteriously change appearance, but their offer remains the same. They require protection from an outlaw named Serji-X Arrogantus and his Cloud Riders. Han Solo agrees to take the job, but only if he can hire others to assist. Han occupies a room at the cantina to interview candidates for the team. The third member of the team, after Han and Chewie, and the first candidate Han interviews, is a spiner named Hedgie, who looks remarkably like a 6-foot-tall hedgehog. Hedgie is able to shoot quills from his arms, and Han does not hesitate to recruit him. Ameza, a former acquaintance of Han Solo's that led the Black Hole Gang, becomes the 4th member of the team. She is dressed flamboyantly and good with a blaster. Han warns her not to kill any of his other potential recruits on her way out. The 5th member we are introduced to is Don Quixote, an older individual who claims to be a Jedi Knight. Don Juan even carries a lightsaber. While it is never clear if he truly is a Jedi or not, his addition to the team, or rather his lightsaber's addition, proves crucial to the story's resolution. Don Juan is modeled after Don Quixote, the insane but chivalrous knight from a famous early 17th century book. Jackson is the 6th and most infamous member. He is a 6-foot-tall green rabbit that wears a red jumpsuit, and his appearance has not endeared him to everyone. Some see him as a cool character, similar to Marvel Universe's Rocket Raccoon, while others liken him to the prequel's Jar Jar Binks. More than any other original character from the period, Jackson represents the silliness that several fans attribute to Marvel's 1977 Star Wars title. I disagree that Marvel's original title is silly, but that attitude does exist. Our final 2 hires are Jim and his droid FEQ-9, which goes by the name Effie. Jim is from the village and uses the handle the Starkiller Kid, which is interesting. The Starkiller name has significance to Star Wars fans because it was the original last name for Luke Skywalker. In the first draft of the movie, we had an Anakin Starkiller. The second and third draft were subtitled The Adventures of Starkiller and The Adventures of Luke Starkiller. Employing unused concepts and names is a common occurrence within Star Wars lore. Roy Thomas no doubt saw the name in the materials shared by the Star Wars Corporation with him. The Starkiller name is reused again years later when LucasArts conceives a video game titled Star Wars The Force Unleashed, featuring the secret apprentice of Darth Vader. Released in 2008, this game stars Starkiller, a dark Jedi that Vader hopes to use to overthrow the Emperor someday. In the end, Darth Vader is forced to confront Starkiller. Dark Horse Comics created an adaptation of the story in an original graphic novel also titled Star Wars The Force Unleashed. After the team is gathered, Star Wars number 8 concludes with a visit by Serji-X Arrogantus and his Cloud Riders. Han warns Serji-X to steer clear of the village, and he nicknames the team the Starhoppers. The fight with Serji-X Arrogantus and his Cloud Riders ensues. Star Wars number 9, titled Showdown on a Wasteland World, has a strange cover. Jackson is shirtless, and Ameza appears much older than she does in the interior. Jackson being shirtless is even more apparent on the cover of the Clásicos del Cine number 304, which is the Mexican edition of Star Wars number 9 and 10. This comic shows more of the artwork that was cropped for the US version. The issue begins with our heroes traveling to the village on Banthas. When they reach the outskirts of the small town, they defend some farmers from attacking humanoid bird hybrid creatures called highhounds. The Starhoppers perform admirably and rescue all the villagers, including a girl named Mary. Han meets with the spokesman, Ancho, who is also Mary's father, and puts the villagers to work preparing for the bandits. With preparations underway, Ancho's elderly father approaches Han. He tells Han his presence is not necessary as he has mystical means to summon a monster to protect the village. The older man is dismissed just as Serji-X and his gang arrive. A firefight ensues, and early in the battle, Effie sacrifices itself to save Jim from being shot in the back. Not long afterwards, one of the Cloud Riders shoots Don Quixote, rendering him unconscious. The battle is clearly going in the favor of the bandits. As the conflict rages on, the old man is seen chanting at the nearby hill, and before too long, a large monster named the Behemoth rises from the ground. The Behemoth enters the conflict. Behemoth from the World Below is a title for Star Wars number 10. The large creature summoned last issue looks remarkably like Godzilla. Additionally, this giant beast, like Godzilla, can summon energy to shoot a powerful beam. In Godzilla's case, the beam radiates from his mouth, where this monster shoots beams from the top of the spine that runs up its back. I doubt it is a coincidence Marvel began publishing Godzilla in May 1977, only 7 months before this issue was released. With the arrival of the giant creature, the tide turns against Serji-X and his band of marauders. The beast is picking off Cloud Riders as the Starhoppers, including a now conscious Don Quixote, stand there watching. Serji-X Arrogantus realizes he is losing and decides to kill Ancho's father. Before he is able to strike, the Behemoth steps on Serji-X and the old man, killing both. Directionless, the monster turns its attention to the Starhoppers. They spend considerable time dodging rocks thrown at them by the creature, but Don Quixote decides to confront the beast himself. The monster is agitated by the lightsaber, and Hedgie helps by distracting the creature. The monster uses an energy beam to kill Hedgie. Han is carried by Chewbacca onto the battlefield and takes the lightsaber from Don Juan. He stabs the beast in the hand, and before too long, the Behemoth disintegrates. With the defeat of the monster, the Starhoppers are victorious, although they lost 2 members of the team. Jim decides to stay behind in the village while the remaining heroes ride off into the sunset. The surviving heroes, excluding Han Solo and Chewbacca, all appear in the Hunter story in Star Wars number 16. In that issue, we learn Don Quixote is dying at the Telos 4 medical station, while Ameza and Jackson are adventuring together on Jackson's starship, the Rabbit's Foot. Jim and Mary have married and still live in the village on Abdullah 3. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe so I can bring you more content, and please leave a comment below.